welcome to the deep dive. Today we're taking a look into Alstonia scolaris. You probably know it as Dita bark.
That's right.
And we're using William Boericke's Homeopathic Materia Medica as our guide.
Yep, it's a fascinating historical source.
Our goal here is really to pull out the key insights, how it was traditionally used, especially thinking about malaria, digestive problems, general weakness, all through that homeopathic lens.
Exactly. Boericke's text gives us a snapshot of how practitioners back then saw this remedy. It wasn't just for one thing, they connected different symptoms.
Okay, so let's dive in. What were the main signals? If someone wasn't well, why might a homeopath think, Alstonia scolaris?
Well, the big one seems to be malarial diseases. But crucially, not just the malaria.
Right.
It was malaria accompanied by other specific things like diarrhea, dysentery, even anemia, and just generally poor digestion.
So, kind of a constellation of symptoms.
Precisely, the whole picture mattered.
And Boericke mentioned something specific, that gone sensation in the stomach. That sounds quite distinctive.
It really does. That feeling of emptiness,
Mhm.
a sinking feeling right in the abdomen tied together with this overall weakness. It really points to significant debility,
Mhm.
especially hitting the digestive system hard.
Okay.
And importantly, it was also seen as a tonic, something to help people recover after they'd gone through really exhausting fevers.
Right, a restorative. So, let's focus a bit more on the digestion, because that seems pretty central here. What kind of gut issues are we talking about?
The text describes some, well, pretty intense stuff. Violent purging, cramps in the bowels, a feeling of heat and irritation down low.
Oh, okay.
They also mentioned camp diarrhea, which sounds like a very specific, severe type, maybe with bloody stool, and dysentery, too.
Camp diarrhea. Yeah, that definitely paints a picture of the times.
And they linked it specifically to maybe bad water or connected it back to the malaria itself.
Any other really specific digestive signs?
Yes, actually. There's a note about painless, watery stools. And Boericke compares this symptom to another remedy, phosphorus acid.
Interesting comparison. So they saw similarities there.
Seems so. Another key thing was diarrhea happening almost immediately after eating. That's quite a specific trigger.
Very detailed observations. Now, how did they see Alstonia scolaris fitting in with other substances they used? Any comparisons?
Yeah, this is interesting. They compared it to Alstonia constricta. Apparently, that was known as a similar bitter bark over in Australia, sometimes called native quinine.
Ah, okay. So recognizing similar plants across the globe.
Exactly. And they identified an active principle, ditane. They described it as antiperiodic, meaning it fought recurring fevers.
Like quinine.
Just like quinine, yes. And this was key, supposedly without the nasty side effects quinine could have.
So potentially a gentler option for those fevers. Was it compared directly to cinchona itself, the source of quinine?
It was. Boericke notes similarities with cinchona for things like diarrhea, again, chronic ingestion, dyspepsia, and that general debility we mentioned.
So overlapping uses, especially for the gut issues and weakness after illness.
Right. It suggests they saw these bitter barks having a common ground. He also briefly mentions hydrastis and forsythia chin as related remedies, sort of placing it within their broader system.
And practically speaking, how was it given? What about dosage?
The text is specific. Tincture to third potency. That refers to a particular homeopathic preparation method involving dilution and succussion.
Okay.
But interestingly, it wasn't just internal. They also mentioned using it locally, like on the skin, for ulcers and even rheumatic pains.
Broader uses then.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. Key takeaways seem to be Alstonia scolaris, or Dita bark, was a go-to in traditional homeopathy for malaria, especially when paired with digestive upset and weakness.
Yep. And as that post-fever tonic.
Right, and for certain types of diarrhea, like the immediate after-eating kind. Plus, its active part, ditane, was seen as a quinine alternative, maybe easier on the system.
You got it. It really highlights their detailed observation and how they saw connections between symptoms and remedies. It really does. Exploring Dita bark like this makes you think we see this historical reliance on plants for serious issues like infections and digestive troubles. It poses a question, doesn't it? What modern potential might still be hiding in these natural compounds if we investigated further?
Very relevant question.
And how does looking back like this maybe help us frame or understand the health challenges we're facing right now? Definitely some food for thought there. Thanks for digging into this with me.